Cool. So for all of our listeners out there, what's up? This is Jared with Heat Press Nation, and I'm joined by Mr. Big Brandoh himself. What's up, dude? How you doing?
What's happening, man? What's happening?
All right. So do me a favor, intro yourself to the audience. Tell them what you're all about, what you do.
Oh, yeah. So I go by the name Big Brandoh on YouTube. My real name's Brandon. A lot of people already know that. For myself, I teach people how to start small businesses from home, make a little bit extra money. If you get rich, you get rich, but I want people to better their situation. So the information that I share on YouTube is highly, it's geared towards the home guy that has a full-time job, that has kids, that's married, that just needs a little bit extra money.
You're calling me
that's
out.
all it is.
That's me, bro.
That's what it is. So that's the whole reason why I started the channel, was just to help people out that are just like myself. I work a full-time job. I got kids. I got a wife, got a mortgage to pay. I need a little bit extra money. So everything that I'm learning, I want to share it with everybody else.
I love it. So how did you find t-shirts? Or because that's your main focus, right?
So I've been selling t-shirts since the 90s.
Oh, wow.
So
okay, right on.
Started out screen
Wait,
printing.
hold on. No, I don't know if I can ask you this on the record. If you want this on the record, how old are you? Because
I'm 38. I'm 38.
No, you're not. You're looking good, man.
Thank you. So I started in like 96, 97. That's when I figured out what screen printing was. I learned the process. I started doing it from the garage, out of my house. And I just noticed that everything I was putting out, I enjoyed the process more than selling the stuff. So printing was like second nature to me. I enjoyed everything about burning screens to flooding the screen, all that stuff. But then as time went on and I wanted to build the business up, I really fell in love with selling products. So the process kind of took a back seat, and then I really wanted to just sell products. And that's where I started, just early 2000s, really moving shirts.
Yeah.
And for me, I've always drew, so I would draw all the time. So I said, man, if I can make money with my drawings on shirts, then let's go for it, right?
There we go. That's interesting, like, because that's one of the things that, like, when I started selling t-shirts, it's like, wait, somebody's willing to spend their money on this that I created. It's like a little natural high, man.
Yeah, it is. And for me, that's the biggest challenge and the funnest part of the whole business, is getting like a complete stranger to spend their hard-earned money on a t-shirt that you made in your bedroom, right?
Yeah.
That to me is the funnest part of the business right now.
Yeah. How stoked do you get? Or let me ask you this: have you ever seen your shirts out in the wild? Like, you'd be walking around and be like, how stoked do you get?
That's such a weird feeling. I'll give you a story. Is this past July, I vend at a Hawaiian festival every year in July. It's in Lawndale, California. Sell a bunch of t-shirts at that thing. My parents were at an Indian casino somewhere, maybe in Temecula somewhere, and there was a whole family wearing my t-shirts. So my dad was wearing one of my t-shirts and said, "Hey, where'd you buy that from?" He said, "Oh, I bought from some tattooed guy at this Hawaiian festival." My dad's like, "Hey, that's my son, man." So they took a picture with him and then sent it to me. And to me, that's like a complete stranger spending their money on a shirt that I made is the craziest feeling, man.
Oh, that's so sick.
And then when I was doing the churro stuff, I would sell shirts at Disneyland all the time. So seeing people walk around Disneyland, they don't even know who I am. They don't know nothing about my YouTube channel, but they're buying the shirts and wearing them with their families. It's kind of cool, man.
That's sick. Are you still selling the churro ones?
I haven't. You know what? The pandemic took put a hold on a lot of the churro stuff, because that was my main focus, was selling stuff at Disneyland. But I might bring it back.
Nice.
Yeah.
I had that similar experience. So all my shirts are, which is like one of these that says like Dos de Asada.
Yeah.
Like my whole t-shirt line is taco themed.
Yeah.
So if I wear one of my shirts to a taco stand, like it's almost guaranteed. It's like, dude, where'd you get that? And I'll just send them to my Instagram. And then later on in the night, I'm like, did they buy? Did they buy? And and a lot of times they do. And it's such a crazy feeling.
It is. It's a trippy one, especially when it's food themed, because I like tacos too, right? So if I'm at a taco stand and I see somebody wearing something like that, I'm like, hey, that's kind of cool, man.
Yeah.
Like, there's a similar, we vibe off of tacos, right?
Yeah.
So that's how the churro thing worked out for myself. I like them. I don't love them, but people just thought I had like this weird, or they just thought that I just thoroughly enjoyed churros, but it was more so I wanted to make money at Disneyland. I seen where I could make a little bit of money.
So there's this like phenomenon that I've noticed where like people who go to Disneyland now, it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but you have to rock your best Disney t-shirt. You got to rock your best Disney gear. So people, there's a certain like crew of like the Disney faithful, like the Disney adults, like they're always on the hunt. Like, oh, okay. That's a new Disney shirt no one else has.
Yeah.
It's almost like status. Like, hey, I got this dope shirt.
Yeah.
You don't have it.
You know what's weird is me and my family used to be pass holders long ago. Same. And that was the first thing I seen was people wear Disney stuff like a jersey, basically, like a favorite sports team, right?
Yes.
And that's when I started to say, all right, there's got to be a way I can make money here because we're coming to Disneyland every week, and I should be able to make some money. And then I started seeing people making like HTV T-shirts, but with like Mickey ears and stuff like that. I'm like, there's a way to make money and not use trademark logos and stuff like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was the whole idea behind that churro thing. Was churros are a big thing there. Obviously, people are into food that go to Disneyland, and that'll be my way in. And it worked out perfect.
Dude, that's such a great example of like there are so many different ways to capitalize on something without stealing the IP.
Yeah.
Because like I feel bad that sometimes like you go on Etsy or you go on wherever and you just see people just straight up ripping Disney off, and it's like, dude, you guys could get in big trouble. I'm like, I feel like I'm more concerned for them.
Yeah.
Like, not like a self-righteous, like, oh, you steal. It's like, no, bro, you're about to lose your house, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it's
and
crazy.
for me, I'm not a big fan of the argument of Disney has all this money, why do they care? For me, it's Disney already put in the work, and now you're just trying to kind of capitalize off of all their hard work, right? For myself, it's the challenge, like I said, is trying to get somebody to buy something, but also not using those trademark characters, and then figure out how I could kind of leverage my way into this little space. And Etsy thing in Disney is huge.
Yeah.
There's so many people selling T-shirts and so many people doing stuff geared towards Disney on Etsy that I kind of wanted to be like the anti-Etsy guy and try to do it myself. And it worked out. But like I said, the fun part of selling stuff is getting that stranger to buy from you. That's, to me, that's my high. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I see somebody that wants to spend their money on my shirt because they like the idea or it was clever enough for them to ask me where I got it from, then I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Oh, yeah.
So now people who watch your videos, they're going to see a lot of HPN products in there. And yes, this is an HPN sponsored podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
But what I think is cool is that you were using HPN even before you connected on like a professional level, because you are an HPN affiliate of ours. But you were using our stuff even before. Like, how did you find? Because at the time we were a lot smaller than we are now. Like, how did that connection come to be?
Oh man, so like we were talking earlier, the first time that I came to your guys' old location in Brea, I had bought a Signature Series press on Craigslist. Used, the bottom was bent. And I used that for years. So I said, man, I got to get me a new one. I thought that you got your store. I thought it was a storefront in Brea, right?
Yeah.
So I said, I don't want to pay for shipping. I'm cheap. And I was like, I don't want to pay for shipping. These guys are in California. I'll find them. So then what I did was I looked it up. I went down to your Brea location. And when I went in there, I opened the door. And it was just a bunch of desks and computers. Right in through that front door, and everybody just looked at me like, who the hell is this guy, right? And then I said, hey, I'm here to buy a press. And they're like, this is not a store. And I don't know who it was. They sat me down at a computer and we did like the online order.
Yeah.
And then I went home with that. That was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so when I did that, I didn't get a box with it or nothing. The guy brought the press out.
Oh, you brought it straight up like that?
Yeah, he plugged it in.
Funny,
it was on the floor. He showed me that it heated up. And I was like, cool, man, let's put it in my truck, man. Let's go. But since then, that was like 10 years ago. And then I was using a used one for maybe 13 years before, or, 3 years before that. And that press has never failed me once. So that was the biggest reason why I wanted to buy another one. And yeah, I have the ability to quote unquote upgrade. Everybody thinks it's an upgrade. But for me, man, that thing is a workhorse.
Yeah.
That's why I enjoy it. And even before I talked to anybody at Heat Press Nation, I was showing it in my videos and telling people about it because of that little slide out drawer.
Dude.
Now it's a super popular press and it's hard to find sometimes. And I'll say this, I cruise Craigslist and offer up all the time.
Yeah.
These presses hold their value even on like, if somebody's trying to resell it or whatever it is, if they're upgrading, you could buy them on Craigslist and offer up and they hold their value, man.
Yeah, because it's a solid piece. So I started about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So probably a little bit, I got into it a little bit after you.
Yeah.
Found HPN. I started just because, and I think I mentioned it in a previous episode, I just needed a job. So I also went on Craigslist and I was like, it was funny. The first job I applied for was my first callback, first interview. And I was like, cool. Hey, I just need a job. I had call center experience. So I was like, I'm just gonna start. Zero pressing experience.
Yeah.
But within like a month or two, I had my Signature Series.
Yeah.
So it just clicked in me.
Yeah.
Like when I started, they started training me and I was like, wait, you mean Like I could have a t-shirt custom done in a couple minutes.
Oh, well, I'll tell you this. When I first got mine off of Craigslist, I knew what heat pressing was, and I had a really cheap press at the time. When I seen that slide out drawer function just from the pictures on Craigslist, I thought it was going to do all the work for me. Like I was so blind to what I was getting myself into, where I said, oh man, this one has this crazy feature where it slides out. And in my head, I'm thinking it's like going to print the shirts for me type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So I knew of heat pressing, but I bought it thinking it was going to be
like
a game changer. Yeah, but
yeah.
It ended up being a game changer because I wasn't burning my hands no more. And that slider, there was not a lot of presses at that time that had that function. And to me, that was the biggest lifesaver for myself.
Yeah. When we started at that point, we were a little bit more accustomed as a company to people showing up. We were still in that tiny little office.
Yeah.
But we set up a section of the hallway to be a showroom, right?
Yeah.
So I had when I started, I burnt my knuckles real quick. I'm talking like first couple weeks, I had already burnt myself.
Oh yeah.
So that sold me on the slide out. But so I was saying that heat press that I bought almost 7 years ago, still going strong.
Yeah.
Done
same here.
All my shirts. And so I think it's a testament. I like it because I get to work for a company that puts out quality products.
Yeah.
Which like I've worked for companies that sold different various things. And I was just like, yo, like,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to push this outside. But now it's funny because I feel like I have a whole life outside of heat pressing. I'm a musician. I'm involved like in my church community. With like the worship team, so it's funny every now and then, like the worlds kind of collide, and like the other day, I was at an event, and one of the pastors there, he's like, "Oh hey, I watch all your videos," and I was like, "I'm not in many like worship videos, like I'm not like, what does he mean? Like I'm not in any videos?" And he goes, no, your heat press videos, and I was like, "Oh, how do you know that?" Like I feel like they're so separate, but it's just funny when the worlds collide. I guess
it does. It happens to myself a lot, and the best part is when I was at Impressions Expo this past January, there were so many people of different age groups that were stopping to talk to me, right? And that to me is always an eye opener to I cuss a lot in all my videos, right?
Yeah.
And I talk to the people that talk like me. But now I'm a little bit more privy to there's a whole different age group that's also watching. And those guys don't mind the language, but at the same exact time, I understand that they're retaining the information, whatever I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's made for everybody. It's made for everybody.
Yeah. But I think like because you're so authentic, and that's one of the things that I really like appreciate about what you bring to the table, not just to like to Heat Press Nation, but like to the industry.
Yeah.
Like you're an authentic dude. I was watching I think it was one of the BSing with Brando episodes.
Yeah.
And when you were saying how like a DTG company offered you like thousands.
Yeah.
And then you're like, but F that. Like I don't.
Yeah. And for me, it's not the money, right? And I tell a lot of people that I work with, if you're going to try to control the narrative around my content or something like that, I can't work with you because my channel's built around the stuff that I use and how I use it to make money.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden I'm showing blenders and I'm showing all kind of different stuff just for the check, then it's kind of, I would hate for my channel to go down that route and then confuse people on certain things, right? So I've never switched up on the press. The press is always the same. Everything I use has been the same since I got onto YouTube.
Yeah.
It's, to me, that's the most important part about creating content is there's a weird responsibility that we have as content creators that the people that are watching, it's easy to sell them anything, and it's very easy to get caught up in, I have affiliate links with all these other companies and this is what you should do and I'm going to review all these presses. But I think you just confuse the viewer at that point, right?
Yeah.
Because now you're offering a million different things and then they're trying to figure out which one's the best for them. You know what I mean? And to me, I would hate for my channel to look like a NASCAR car where it's just a million different sponsors and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think it's that like authenticity and like keeping it simple. Like, hey, this works.
Yeah.
I would say if as an outsider looking in, I'd say that's a big part of why people just love you. And why like, hey, even somebody like, somebody who like may not be so cool with language, like they're still going to watch because like, where else are they going to get that kind of authenticity? There's not a lot of creators in the industry who are willing to put their money where their mouth is like that,
And I think that's where my downfall as a content creator is just that, is because I don't play the YouTube game like the standard YouTuber would.
Right.
I turn away a lot of checks and I turn away a lot of offers on certain things because I don't feel it fits my brand. But at the same exact time, the viewer comes first to myself. And I would hate to confuse the viewer. I would hate to mislead the viewer in any way, because the viewer to me is the guy at home looking to make extra money, make more money, figure out how to do things on a tighter budget, right? I understand all these people can't be maxing out credit cards on this stuff. Right. So I tell them, don't max out the credit cards. Don't take out these loans, and just get it from your day job money. Save up, buy it. And then at that point, if they're still willing to listen, then the information shared on my channel will help them out. If they don't want to listen to that, maybe the information on my channel isn't for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like so of all the ingredients, because obviously you have to have like valuable information, authenticity. Unfortunately, it seems like all the channels blowing up nowadays, I feel like there's a lot of fluff going on.
Yeah.
Just a lot of people riding coattails of the latest trends and stuff like that. And so like you don't see a lot of like the true creators blowing up. So how surprised were you when you hit 100K on YouTube?
That was crazy. To me, I didn't understand it until people started saying it in the comments, because I never looked at like the subscriber count or anything like that.
Sorry, that blows my mind that you didn't look. I feel like everybody looks at their subscriber count. Yeah, that's crazy.
For me, it was always just, I need to put up a video or two a week, right? That was just my thing. So I never really looked at the count until people started mentioning it in my comments. And I said, oh man. Then my wife said, hey, everybody's talking about you almost hitting 100K. And then we started looking at it. Yeah. To me, it's crazy to think that there's 100,000 people out there interested in anything that I have to say. That's kind of the crazy part. But also that means there's 100K people out there that are looking into getting into t-shirts and starting their own business and make a little bit of money. For me, it's pushing the heat presser, the home heat presser, into a bigger light, because for so long, heat pressing's been in this weird negative light for the longest time. And I used to go to Impressions Expo when it was ISS, and a long time ago when it was mainly screen printers there, and the heat press guy used to get the worst rap out there, man. And it was tough for the long, even when I first got onto YouTube, there was a lot of negative backlash around my channel. One, because I talked about transfers, and the guys that were using transfers didn't want me sharing that information, the gatekeepers. Right. And then on top of that, it was always heat pressing is horrible quality. What it is
I hate that, by the way.
Some people didn't do their due diligence and figure out how to lay something down. So they got a horrible shirt and they blamed the press and not the operator. You know what I mean? And that's all it is. And I think the years I've been on YouTube, it was kind of course correcting that, trying to help people understand that even screen printers can cure the ink incorrectly and be a horrible shirt. You know what I mean? And that fight I fought by myself for a long time until more creators came and backed me up. Then I felt a little bit better. But I took those hits early, man. Because when I got onto YouTube, there wasn't too many people talking about starting a brand with a heat press. There's a few guys, the T-shirt help desk, shout out to that dude. He was on there showing a lot of stuff. And then I think there was a guy named, can't even think of his name, but he was making faith-based shirts.
Oh, Cartez Ross.
That guy.
Yeah. Love him. Yeah.
So he was showing transfers, like stock transfers and stuff like that, but that was it. There was nobody showing how to start a clothing brand or a streetwear brand with the heat press. So that's the only reason why I jumped onto YouTube, to provide that information to people. Because I was using these gang sheets and I'm like, man, I'm making a killing off these things. Yeah. How come nobody's talking about it? And then people just started hating me, man, at that point.
Dude, that's funny. Like that's how I felt that's why I jumped in. When I started working, because to me at first it was just another job.
Yeah,
straight up, just another, hey, I need money, right?
Yeah.
But within like a month or two, I was just like, I was sold. I was like, wait, this stuff is cool. Yeah. And I thought the same thing. Like, how is everybody not on this? How is there not a heat press in every garage in America or whatever, right? Oh, yeah. Like, it's really mind blowing. But I think it also appeals to a certain type of person. Like, to me, it's the creative entrepreneur. Yeah. When I talk to people outside of this, like I'm at a party or a wedding reception, whatever, you're sitting with people you don't know. Yeah. Hey, what do you do? And I tell them, like, I work for a company and we sell t-shirt making equipment. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. And they don't care. You tell that to people who are creative entrepreneurs, they have that vibe and they're like, shut up. And then they're the ones who are like, I feel like it just like clicks. It just turns something on in the brain.
It does. Yeah. It does. And for the home guy, like the guy that's creating from home, if you looked at how to make t-shirts from home outside of looking at a heat press, the experience is messy, right? If you're looking at screen printing, there's nobody that's going to be screen printing out of their bedroom and being able to wash out screens and reclaim ink and clean screen, all that stuff. And the alternative is plugging in a heat press and being able to knock it out from your bedroom.
Yeah.
That's appealing to the guy that only has like $400 to spend. You know what I mean? And wants to get into this thing. Yeah.
We have people who, like some of my customers that I talk to, they literally like live in a trailer.
Yeah.
And like they're like, hey, I'm in this RV. I go across the country doing these because they're already doing other stuff. Like they're doing they're doing the dog show circuit or the rodeo circuit, right?
Yeah.
I live out of my trailer, but I need a heat press, and it's like, that's crazy. What other options do they have?
No, like there's not much that they can do.
It's so cool.
Yeah, for me, it's those guys that, like you said, are going out and they're doing dog shows or whatever it is, right? Because a lot of the guys that I help out are tattoo artists, right? Mm-hmm. They already draw, and now their wife could be at home pressing up shirts. So when they go to the tattoo expo, now they have merch to sell, right? Yeah. Same thing with barbers. There's a lot of guys that I help that didn't know that they can do this and be hands-on with it. And it just takes a little bit of guidance. That's all it is. Just a little.
Yeah. So you're pretty unique in this situation where you have multiple successful t-shirt lines. Mm-hmm. Successful YouTube channel. I feel like a lot of the young guns would be like, or just a lot of people, not even young guns, but just a lot of people starting up would be like, oh, this guy, he's ready to quit his job any day now. But you keep your side hustle on the side. Yeah. Like, can I ask why? Like, why haven't you quit your day job?
For what I do, I've created a career about 20 years now. I'm a photographer outside of here, or outside of doing t-shirts, right? And it's for a huge corporation. And for me, that's the easiest job in the world, right? I get paid to take pictures. Why would I want to quit that? You know what I mean? That's a dream job for a lot of people. And it's very hard to get a staff photography job in America, period. Yeah. So for myself, if I've created that for myself, there's no way I'm giving that thing up. You know what I mean? And I've been able to climb the corporate ladder after these almost 20 years. I think it's been like 18 years or something like that. I have no college degree. I look the way I do, tattooed on my head, and I'm in this corporate space now that they look at me as an equal now. Before it wasn't. It was, I started in the mailroom, and from the mailroom, I found out that there was a print shop at this company. I was pushing the mail, delivering checks, and I heard all this crazy noise. Hey, what are you guys doing back there? It's a print shop. I didn't know nothing about reprographic printing. I went there to work after my shift was done for free and just to learn reprographic printing. Then they hired me on into that department, and then I found out there's a photography department. I didn't know nothing about corporate photography, so I went to go work with them for free. And it was just hard work, beat out having a degree. But it was a slow climb for myself. So now it'd be dumb for me to give that up. The accomplishment for myself is just being able to climb the corporate ladder, looking the way I do, coming from where I come from, with no degree at all, when everybody else at that company has a degree. You know what I mean? So I feel like for myself, I need to do it for the guy that's just like myself. But at the end of the day, I get paid to play with a camera and play on Photoshop. Like, I'm not giving that up. You know what I mean?
Dude, I love it.
And for myself, the clothing brands and stuff that I do and YouTube and selling t-shirts, that's fun. I have 2 shops and everything's going the way it should be going. Mm-hmm. But I could manage my time in between family time, working a full-time job, and doing the t-shirt and YouTube thing on the side. But sometimes if t-shirts are getting a little too crazy, YouTube takes a back seat, man. I think that's why I'm a horrible content creator, is because I don't, like I said, I don't take it as serious as everybody else. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And some guys, this is their full-time gig. So I understand creating content is everything to them. Yeah. For myself, it's not. Like, I take one Sunday every month and I record a bunch of videos. That's kind of how I operate. And then I just edit them down as when I have time. Then I put them up.
So basically your day job supports your side hustle.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is my day job pays the bills, right? Yeah. The side hustles and the businesses, YouTube, everything else outside of that, I was able to retire my wife like 8 or 9 years ago. And for that, that's what t-shirts and everything supports. You know what I mean? So it was a easy transition for myself to just say, hey, look, I could manage both of these things. Yeah. Yeah. I
feel like this is my own, I used to run a couple. Mm-hmm. I had I was a print broker. Yeah. Kind of like the offset printing. Yep. I was working with one of the local print shops. I was a print broker. Yeah. I had that business. And then I would do custom jobs like mugs, t-shirts, mm-hmm. custom for people. Then I had my own t-shirt line. Yeah. And then as soon as my wife got pregnant, like,
Yeah.
Like everything, like
Yeah.
I didn't know how to balance it all. Like
yeah.
I feel like I was barely hanging on by a thread as it was. So I feel like all my side hustles have just like really taken a back seat,
Yeah.
which I'm not sad about because I've gotten to spend a lot of time with her, got to spend a lot of time with the baby.
Oh, yeah.
And so now this year, because he's 6 months old now,
Yeah.
so now this year I'm like, okay, this year like I'm gonna do it. We're gonna rebuild. We're gonna get everything
Yeah.
back going in. And I love hearing like from people like you like that it's possible.
Yeah.
Because some of the things that like when I come up against it, I'm like, wait, how am I gonna freaking do this? Like,
Yeah.
is this even possible? But hearing success stories, like for me, it's inspirational.
Yeah,
because it
and
lets me know I can.
There's so many people in that same situation as us, right? That work
Yeah.
a full-time job, that have babies and have families, and also want to do the side business and stuff like that. What we don't talk about enough on YouTube or as a content creator is how to do that, right? And
Yeah.
to me, it's just time management. What I would do, especially when my son was young, was I used to just take 2 hours out of my day.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. I made sure I did 2 hours out of the day to do t-shirt related stuff, whether it's designing, pressing, fulfilling orders, whatever it was. And that just kept me accountable every
Yeah.
day, right? So maybe I'll do like an hour before I go to work and an hour when my kid
Okay.
goes to bed, or sometimes those 2 hours will turn into 4 hours at night, but I made sure I did 2 hours. And
Yeah.
that was, so I didn't lose the hunger, right? And I didn't lose on, because it's easy to just go home and sit on the couch and
Oh, dude.
watch Netflix, you know what I mean? And
Too easy, bro. Yeah.
but if I could do that, then I could work on something that I want to, you know,
Yeah.
make some money with. That's I don't want to say I'm motivated by money, but at the end of the day, that's what we're doing this for, right?
Yeah.
Is we have a passion to do it, but at the same exact time, passion doesn't pay the bills.
Right.
So for
Right.
myself, if I can make money and I'm just sitting on the couch, then I'll be Instagram marketing and doing stuff like that. You know what I mean? And that was, I say it a lot in my videos and people find it funny, but it's very true, is I do a lot of my Instagram marketing, like direct marketing. When I'm using the restroom, man, I'm sitting on the toilet, I'm already on my phone. I could cruise TikTok,
Right?
or I could do a little bit of marketing. And
Dude, that's so true.
yeah, and people, like I said, people think it's a joke, but that's the exact truth. Is if I'm sitting down on the couch or the toilet or wherever I'm at, if I have 10 minutes, then I'd rather spend those 10 minutes doing something for the business instead.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of those crazy, I'll sleep when I'm dead, I'm going to grind 24-hour type of dudes. No
Yeah.
way, man. Sleep is very important to me, man.
I was just about to ask that
Yeah.
because like I feel like there's definitely like a burnout culture
Oh, yeah.
going on right now where it's like, hey, if you're sleeping, you're losing. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh shoot. It's like what are and again, I feel like I'm asking for me, but also
Yeah.
for like our listeners, like what are like some practical things that you like if you could give some tips, like hey, here, this is how you don't lose your mind
Yeah.
running your family full time and your side hustle. Like
For myself, it's family time should always come first, right? For myself, if I'm hanging out, if I'm playing basketball with my youngest, if I'm going to eat with my oldest, if I'm just having a good time, phones down, that's it. You know, I don't want to have to do YouTube comments and Instagram marketing for my t-shirts and stuff like that. But I make sure family time is first, because that's basically what we're doing it for, right? Provide
Yeah.
for our family. And I always feel like if I'm too busy working, then I'm wasting time with my family, and I'm not, you know, that's what I'm doing this for, is so I could spend more time with my family, right? But the biggest thing is time management and using that time wisely. Sometimes people will have like the creative block where they'll sit down in front of their computer and just look at it because they don't know where to start, right?
Yeah.
So for myself, it's just, if you're sitting down and you're going to do something, do anything. And then hopefully something works out for you, right? And sometimes those ideas are trash, man. Like I got hard drives full of designs and ideas that are not going to work out, but it was just the exercise of going through it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'm outside of this t-shirt world. I'm a musician.
Yeah.
And one time I heard one of my favorite songwriters goes, sometimes you write 50 terrible songs
Yeah.
to get you to the one good one.
Oh, yeah.
And that blew my mind because every time I would start one, like if it didn't start sounding good, like after a couple minutes,
Yeah.
like I would trash it and just get discouraged.
Yeah.
And it's funny how that kind of like bled into the t-shirt world. Like I love how you're saying you have tons of like just crap designs or
Yeah.
whatever, right? I have tons of crap designs
Yeah.
that will never see the light of day. But it was when I was doing this one, it's just like, oh, but I could bring this back. And it's
Exactly.
like, yeah, it's so crazy how that works.
Yeah.
Like-
and everybody thinks, well, on YouTube and Instagram, people only share the home runs, right? Hey, this is the best design ever. For me, it's not that, because I know there's a ton of crappy ones that come with it
Yeah.
before you get that home run, right? But that's the part of YouTube that I don't like, is everybody only shares the success story of YouTube, right? My channel shares a lot of my mistakes because everybody makes these mistakes. And I would hate for somebody to glorify my channel and say, oh, this guy has it made. He's doing everything that I want to be doing. There's a lot of really, really bad designs and a lot of money lost because of my mistakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that I like to share with people on YouTube. And I say this a lot because what I say is take your t-shirt selling advice from somebody that sells t-shirts. A lot of times it's easy to get blinded by the content creator that's just talking about the t-shirts but doesn't really sell them themselves, right?
Because and there's so many of those dudes out there.
There's a lot.
Jeez.
There's a lot. And if that's how you make your money, cool. But what it does is it gives a lot of people false hope, and it gives a lot of people the wrong direction, I think.
Yes.
So the only way I could combat that is my channel has to be geared around, there are mistakes and there are times that you lose money, and there are times that learn from my mistakes. That's all I'm sharing it for, is let me waste the money for you before you do it, right? And a lot of people don't share how to sell the t-shirt. Everybody just shares, hey, these are the transfers you use, this is the heat press you use, this is how I'm making the shirt.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about selling it. And that's the part that where my channel comes in, is I'll show you guys how I'm selling these shirts. It's hard work, but it's working for me. It might work for you.
Dude, the sale is the hardest part.
It is.
For sure. To me, it's so much harder to get somebody to buy it.
Yeah.
Than anybody can just cut and press a shirt or get a transfer and press it.
Yeah.
Selling, that's what's rough. Is there a shirt that you had where you're like, this design is sick, I'm going to make 1 million of these, I'm going to stock it deep because everyone's going to love it, and then didn't pan out?
Yeah. So this past July, I did this, the ska man that's, he's wearing a tuxedo and he has the two-tone underneath there. I put his hands into shakas. And I thought everybody's going to want this, right? Because in the Hawaiian culture, ska, reggae is a big deal. It's going to be funny that the guy has shakas, and it'll work out. I put it up on Instagram. There's a lot of people that liked it. And it's very easy to get blinded by that and think those likes are going to, equal dollars. Yes. So I put that shirt out and like 2 people bought it. And I was like so bummed out that, man. And in my head, that was the home run. I was like, man, this one right here, this is going to do it for me, man. 1,000 sold, 2 sold, and that was it. Man. Those, to me, the way I test out a lot of stuff is I'll cut it out on vinyl first before I order transfers. And I'll wear the shirt around, and just to test it out, I need to get the crowd's reaction of the shirt before I order transfers. Yeah. The crowd reaction was good. That design looked good. A lot of people reacted to it, but nobody bought it. And I was like, man, this is so heartbreaking, man. But it happens all the time. It happens all the time.
Was there a surprise shirt where you thought like, I'm going to put this one up. If it sells, it sells. And then it just like...
The churro shirt. The churro shirt was the biggest thing for me. Was I made it. I cut it out on vinyl. I told my wife, and she was like, that's a good idea, but I don't know if it's right for this crowd, right? So I said, all right, let's just see what happens. The first day I wore it to Disneyland, man, there were so many people that were stopping me, from cast members to people there, like, where'd you get that? Yeah. And then I knew I had something on my hands. And literally, I put the mock-up onto Shopify while I was still, like, from my phone. I was standing in line.
That's sick.
And I didn't even have transfers made yet, but there were so many people asking, I had to send them to the site. And that one right there was the biggest moneymaker ever. And that was...
so that's your best shirt of all time?
Not of all time, but for that time, 1,000 sold like within a month. Thousands.
Yeah. Oh, that's the dream right there.
And the crazy part was very little marketing, and it was mainly word of mouth. And then I did everything backwards. I ended up creating an Instagram account like 2 or 3 months later after I was already selling it. And it was just by people asking about it, seeing me in the parks.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah. And that one, it worked because I knew who I was going to sell it to. I knew where I wanted to show it off. So every time I went to Disneyland, I just put the shirt on and wore it around, and I was selling them. And my phone's going off while we're waiting in line, and just sales are coming in. So I told my wife, I said, man, this is an easy call, man. And it like you said, those Disney go-hards, like the really faithful Disney people, they love that stuff, man. They eat it up. Yeah.
They're the ones who are paying like almost $2,000 for a pass nowadays. It's like, dude.
But that's crazy. The part, like I said, if I showed everything on how I marketed that shirt, how I sold it, the transfers I was using, everything was shown on there. And there's not a lot of people on YouTube. Now there is maybe, but before there wasn't that many people showing that process of everything. And that was the only reason I created that thing.
Man, why are people so afraid to share like how the sausage is made?
Yeah, I think to me it's they feel everybody's competition and they give up their secrets and somebody else is going to do it. But for myself, I think that everybody in the world owns t-shirts.
Yeah.
So everybody is a customer at that point. And people think that, all right, if I tell somebody how to do it, then they're going to do everything that I do and take all my customers. We're not making the same designs. Even if we were, we would still be able to sell stuff.
Like the pie is so big, we can all get a slice. Like,
oh yeah.
And that's the part that, like, to me, knowing, because I forget the exact number, but Etsy does like over $1 billion in revenue a year. And I'm just like, wait, what? Etsy?
Yeah.
And so it's like, dude, 1% of 1% of 1% is still not bad. Like, dude, like, there's so much to go around. Like, I never understood the gatekeeping for how it's done.
Yeah.
People ask me like, hey, how'd you make your shirt? And I'll tell them like, so this is my Churro shirt. I didn't sell thousands. But like I posted this exact shirt on my Instagram. And then at the end of the day, I had like 25 orders, which for me, I hadn't even launched my own brand yet.
Yeah.
I had only done orders for other people. So I was like, dude, 25 orders at the end of one day. I was like, I got to do this.
Oh, yeah.
And so yeah, so it's just vinyl, and people ask me like, hey, how'd you do it? And I was like, this is, and I try to make it sound professional because I work here, so I'm used to the sales pitch. I'm like, well, this is a heat transfer vinyl cut on a blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like, I get people asking me like, so wait, can I do this with stuff from Michaels? And I was like, yeah, you can if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
Please buy from Heat Press Nation.
Oh yeah.
Because my salesman kicks in.
Yeah.
But the truth is, like, yes, you could. Can I start a t-shirt line with my Cameo cutter, my Cricut cutter?
Yeah.
Dude, people are doing it and they're making like lots of money.
Yeah. There's a lady that I've been working with, well, not even working with, but just kind of talking to for a few years now. She still has a Cameo. I think she has a Cameo 4 now, but she had a Cameo 3. All she sells is decals. And she does 6 figures every year off of decals. And it's
She's
just
my
her and
new
her
hero.
daughter. Yeah. And people think you have to recreate the wheel every single time. And all she's doing is just creating decals. And she does it for the people that have like the hydro flasks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And all she does is market it to those people. And everybody needs stickers for their stuff. And she kills it every year. And it's just decals. And I mean, I would hate to sit there and weed all that stuff out. But, she does it. And it works out for her, man.
Yeah.
So the people that bash the small cutters and creating these businesses like that, they're just talking crazy because there's people really making some serious money out here with these small craft cutters, and she has no need to get a bigger cutter. Like if everything's working for her the way it is, so be it.
I built my whole business off. I started with a Cameo 2.
Yeah.
And then I accidentally dropped it, and then I broke it. It was on like a really high shelf.
Yeah.
Anyways. And so now I still have my Cameo 3. The 4 is out. They have the Pro, whatever. Like, I'm good on my Cameo 3.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I've been running my whole side business on.
Yeah.
And it works.
That's it, man. As long as it works. That's why I don't get caught up in the upgrade your gear thing.
Yeah.
I'll upgrade when stuff breaks. And so far, nothing's broken, so I don't need to upgrade anything, right?
Yeah, for real.
It just works. It works. And for myself, the space that I'm in, especially YouTube and the content creators and the guys that are pushing the new gear and new equipment and stuff like that, they're making all these review videos. People come to my channel and say, hey, what do you think about this machine? Or what do you think about this? I'm like, man, I don't have no experience with it, so I have nothing to say about it.
Yes.
And then people think, well, why don't you upgrade because everybody else is upgrading? So I don't need to, so I'm not going to waste the money just to do it. You know what I mean? And some people find that offensive because they come to me looking for the answers, and I don't have those answers when it comes to new gear and new equipment and different presses. But they get bummed out when I say I'm still using my Signature Pro, I'm still using my Cameo, and they think, well, you haven't upgraded to this or you haven't did that. And that's not an upgrade to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because you have the experience. You know what works.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's often missed when people come at like, well, how come you don't have the Stahls Fusion?
Yeah.
I get that question a lot from my customers. They say, well, what do you have? You work there, you get a discount. What do you have? I'm like, I still run my Signature Series 1620 Auto. How come you don't have the Stahls Fusion? I don't need the Stahls Fusion.
That's it.
That's
it. And I think a lot of people think, like I get this all the time, it's just the upgrade is what everybody's kind of going for. Mm-hmm. But if I don't need to upgrade, then so be it. And a lot of people don't understand that a lot of those presses, it just comes down to production. And if I'm knocking down 100, 150 shirts with my Signature Pro in a sitting, at that point, like, I don't need anything. Nothing's going to make me work faster at that point. You know what I mean? This press isn't going to make me press faster or anything. So it works for myself, and I just stick with it.
Yeah. Unless the press comes with like a free operator to run it for me.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's exactly it, man.
You're going to send me an employee to run it? Sure.
Yeah. And that's, like I said, a lot of people get bummed out when they come to my channel looking for those types of reviews, and I rarely review anything like a standard review. It's just, let me show you how I use this thing and my settings, and this is it. Same press, nothing's changed up since, you know what I mean?
Do you ever have any of your kids or your wife, are they ever in there pressing with you, or is that kind of like your domain?
Not too much. My son will come help out, but doesn't really, not hands-on pressing. But a lot of times it's like he'll want to record me pressing, or he'll want to record stuff that I'm doing. He gets a kick out of, my youngest son gets a kick out of like TikTok videos and stuff like that. So he always wants to recreate those. So when he comes to the shop, then he'll just record me doing stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is cool. But the labor part, none of the kids want to do it, man.
Yeah. I think I have my wife. She's weird. She's one of those people who enjoys weeding.
Oh yeah.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, hey babe, I got like 15 of these custom. You wanna?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we'll go out. I'll get you lunch after.
Yeah. It's weird. I get that a lot. People say it's kind of therapeutic and they enjoy the weeding process. Oh, there's no way, man.
I hate it.
Yeah. My eyes start going bad, and that's the I could put on music and I could sit there and do like one design or something. But if I did like by run and I had like 15 designs on one thing, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way.
I hate.
Yeah.
I ended up procrastinating so far.
Yeah.
That I literally at the very last minute, I'm there midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Because I could have done it all week, but because I hate weeding so much, I'm there at the very end.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people say, oh man, why don't you just get a DTG printer and do this? And then you don't have to, then you gotta, there's no more weeding. For myself, I've had the constant battle of the DTG thing for the longest time on my channel. What a lot of people don't know is I own DTG printers. I don't show them on my channel.
Really?
Because I don't want to put nobody in debt to thinking that they need this to create t-shirts, right? One of my buddies, Dave from Local Roots, he's a business partner of mine. When he got into DTG early, like long time ago, he built one, right? So he converted the Epson printer and he built the reason he did that was he needed to learn how the machine worked. Because if something goes down, he buys one, he needs to make sure he could fix it up, right? Yeah. We still have that machine till this day, still operating.
Still running?
And we have some from bigger companies that we've purchased and used. But to me, that technology is really cool, but it's not the best thing for somebody that's just trying to start up. It's the worst thing to show somebody that's just trying to start up.
Right.
Because that price tag is hefty. And a lot
of
people,
maintenance, right? Like the daily maintenance is rough.
That is the hardest part. And if you don't know what's wrong with the machine, or if you don't know why something's clogged up, then you have $15,000 machine just sitting there collecting dust.
Yeah.
And it's very hard for people to get hands-on with the maintenance part of it. You know what I mean? If they're not, if they're not privy to how that technology works.
Yeah. I usually, when my customers on the phone, they're asking me, because I'll go through the whole line.
Yeah.
Because we get a lot of people, and I love it.
Yeah.
People who call them and say, hey, I hear you guys are great for the first stop. Well, I want to start a t-shirt company. What do I need? And they're literally super green.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, so as we're going down the line, they're like, well, what about DTG? And I'm like, look, if you have the capital to start a full-time shop, if this is going to be your full-time job from day one, go ahead and day one start with the DTG, because at least you'll be there all day.
Yeah.
That you could afford to make that your main focus.
Oh yeah.
If it's not your full time, or you have somebody like an employee like full time to be there, it's gonna be rough. And you have to. Oh, and tell me if I'm wrong on this. You kind of have to keep it busy all day to keep it worth the monthly payment.
Every day it has to run. We have to control the humidity in there because it affects the lines. There's a lot that goes into it, and I've turned down huge checks from some of these DTG companies because they wanted to put one of those machines on my channel. And there's no way. I'm like, I'm not going to sell this machine for one, because everybody that watches me doesn't have a budget for that.
Yeah.
And I don't want the responsibility of putting somebody in debt because I said, hey, you should buy this. When you watch these DTG videos, it's just showing the process, right? But they don't show everything that comes with that machine. The maintenance and stuff like that, the pre-treat, all that. It's just 1 minute clip of, hey, look, t-shirt goes in, comes out printed, and bingo, you're good. That to me is a bad way to sell that machine and irresponsible to the home business or the guy that's just trying to get started.
Right.
Because the technology is very much captivating because you're like, oh man, that does everything for me. And when you see how much it costs, then it's like, wait a minute, you know what I mean? And some people go for it, man. They finance these machines and then they have no work coming in. I promote figuring out who you're going to sell to first. That's the biggest part of this business is how are you going to sell the t-shirt, who you're going to sell it to before you buy all the equipment and everything that you want to get. Because if you just go out and buy everything, which everybody does, then they sit on the equipment forever.
Oh, those calls are crazy, man. We have calls because I mean, you know, sublimation, right?
Yeah.
You got the 500 to 1,000.
500.
You got the 500.
500.
So we get calls from, hey, I just bought this SG 500 right now, but it's bleeding on my shirts. And I was like, well, what kind of shirt is it? Is it 100% polyester? Oh no, it's a cotton. And I'm like, oh, wait a second, you mean? And literally, they watched one single video.
Yeah.
And then click through and then bought, and I feel so bad for them.
Yeah.
But I totally get what you're saying because yes, as a creator, there is a responsibility.
There is.
You have to just like let your people know.
Yeah. Unless like you're just money hungry and you don't care about other people.
Yeah.
Then hey, man, that affiliate money's cool.
Yeah.
But at the same exact time, man, I would hate to have that on my conscience that like I'm making these people buy this because of something I'm promoting. And I know that they're not going to be able to get their money out of it.
And they're not taking those phone calls. We are.
Yeah.
You know, it's, oh man, it's crazy.
I had this conversation at Impressions with some of the other content creators. And when we talk about stuff that we actually use in our shop and when we talk about the stuff that we're showing and they find out that I have DTF printers and DTG printers at my shop, but I never talk about them. Or if not, I'm bashing them in video because I want to steer people away from jumping right in and buying that right away, right? It's almost working backwards because they're promoting something and then there's a channel like me saying, hey, before you buy that, look at this. And it's not nothing against those content creators or the companies they work with. It's just I know there's a responsibility for the content creator to really give them all the information.
And you know your people too because like for me for example, like people who want to do stuff like how I'm doing, like that means they're also starting from home. Yeah. If there was a way to say, hey, you can only watch my videos if you have a business already running, and you have, like if there's a way to filter who could watch videos, I think it would be much easier to present certain information. Yeah. But given that you know your audience, a lot of them are startups. Like you respect that. You know your people. Yeah. And I think that's really cool. And of course, there's other channels like, you know, like they're again geared for like different businesses with different goals and stuff, so it fits for them.
And that's why there's some guys that run shops, right? And they have full shop and they're showing what they use and they have this equipment, but they also have the clientele coming in to use that equipment, and they don't understand that there's a home business watching them that just bought a Cricut cutter, right? And it's like, oh, now I need this DTG printer. Yeah. You really don't need it, but that's what they're showing and that's what they're exposed to, and they think that's basically how the world works in this t-shirt space, right? Yeah. But to me, I'd rather people spend the least amount of money to make more money instead of just dumping a ton of money into something that they're very green on.
Yeah. And then you get started, you figure out the business, you figure out how to sell, like how you're saying. And then sure, if it works out, then of course grow into other things.
You can always upgrade later. That's what a lot of people don't understand. So I don't own an M-Press, right? But when people tell me what their budget is, and I say, hey man, you should check out the M-Press. Yeah. And then they think, well, it doesn't have the functions that you're talking about. And then I tell them, like, you can always upgrade later, but get in for what your budget is now. Yeah. Test it out and see if it works for you. And if you can make money, you can always upgrade your stuff later.
I like to tell people you could earn faster than you could save.
Oh, yeah.
In most cases.
Oh, yeah.
You could earn faster than you can save. So just get in and start cranking out those orders, learn the business.
Man. Yeah. To me, those people that start out like that, they appreciate their equipment, one, because it's coming out of their own pocket. They're not financing something or they're not maxing out credit cards, but they figure out a way how to make the money with the gear that they have. Yeah. And sometimes they're like, man, I don't even need to upgrade. You know what I mean? Like everything's working out perfect. I don't need the press that I thought I needed. Yeah. And like I said, it comes down to production. What makes you work a little bit easier and quicker, go with that. That's it. But I would hate for people to break the bank, man. That's a scary thing for me, man, because I understand that people work hard for their money, man. They work very hard. And if I'm over here telling them, man, don't buy this cheap press, buy this one, then I feel pretty bad that, you know, I know some of them they're putting the focus into the wrong things. Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of switching gears here a little bit. You named your company Kino Creations after your son, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've seen your video. You talk about like creating legacy. Like, how would you say that your family or family in general is like your main motivator or inspiration? Like, how important is that to what you do? How important is that to what goes into every t-shirt?
Yeah. So for myself, like with Kainoa Creations, I started out when he was born. And the idea was if I made him my partner, he gets half of everything, right? So from birth till, he turns 18, he's getting half profits, half of everything, and I just put it up for him, right? And that to me is what I do everything for, is for my kids. So they could want for nothing and they just have an easier life, right? Because I didn't have that. So I want, now that I'm in a position that I can actually save for them and help them. And a lot of people think like, oh yeah, you're going to teach your son the ropes and he's going to do whatever he wants, right? And to me, and as a father yourself too, nobody ever sits you down and says, hey, this is how you're supposed to be a dad. This is how you're supposed to be a husband. What you do is you learn that through observation of whoever your father was and the older people in your life. You learn through observation, say, all right, this is what my dad did or this is what my grandfather did, and I'm going to start catering my life around that. So I just want my kids to see me working and doing and providing. So then that way, when they have their own families, they understand, all right, this is what I have to do, right? I don't have to sit them down and say, you got to take over the family business now. You got to do t-shirts. Right. What if he hates t-shirts? You know what I mean? I'm not going to force him into it.
Yeah.
But I want them to see that I'm working and everything that I'm doing is for them. So then they understand. So when my daughter finds a husband, then she knows that, all right, my husband should be doing X, Y, and Z because this is what my dad showed me. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's the biggest motivator for myself is I need my kids to see what I'm doing. Same thing with, quitting my job. It'd be irresponsible for me to just quit my job and say, all right, I'm just going to work on this business. Yeah. Because outside of that, medical insurance is a big deal, right? And if I had to pay Cobra or if I had to pay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it. So showing them the responsibility of what I'm doing is my main focus. I want them to understand what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and who I'm doing it for. And whether it's t-shirts or YouTube, and I don't even tell people I make YouTube videos. And to me, it's still a really weird, cringy thing to say, hey man, I'm on YouTube, guys, check out my videos, to say that in person. So my friends, like lifelong friends that I've known since birth, don't even know I'm on YouTube.
That's funny.
Yeah, like that's not something I brag about. I mean, it's the accomplishment is cool, but it's not something that I'm walking around saying, man, I'm a YouTuber, guys. Like, it's kind of weird for a 38-year-old guy to be walking around saying that. You know what I mean?
That's funny. Most of my friends didn't know I did anything with YouTube until, I'm not gonna lie, when we got our silver plaque in the mail, I posted a picture with it.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the only thing. If you look at my Instagram, it's the only Heat Press related thing you're ever gonna see.
Yeah.
Is that silver plaque. And it's funny, like people are like, wait, what do you do? Wait, I didn't know you had a channel. I'm like, well, it's not my channel, it's a company channel. I happen to be on it.
Yeah.
But like it's so funny how like just keep that separate.
It is. Like, I think you used to follow me on my personal Instagram, and I don't talk about nothing t-shirt related on there. I don't talk about nothing YouTube related on there.
That's kind of what inspired me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like my personal Instagram, nothing.
Yeah. And to me, it's not that I'm ashamed of it, but it's just a totally separate thing from what I'm trying to do. You know what I mean?
Like, it doesn't define you as a person. No. It's just one thing that you do.
Yeah. And when I'm family functions, I'm not whipping out my phone and trying to create content and all that stuff. Even when I went to Impressions Expo, man, I rarely took out my phone to record anything. Got no camera. Like I said, I'm the worst YouTuber out there, man. I don't do it like how everybody else does it, and I don't take the same steps everybody else does. And it works for them, but for me, I still feel weird pulling out my camera out in public, talking to it. Like, that's kind of a weird thing for me, right? But so my kids, like, the funny thing is, my kids will always tell me if somebody's watched my channel, or they'll introduce me to one of their friends like, hey man, they saw you on YouTube, or they follow you on YouTube. I think it's funny, but at the same time, that's kind of where our world is at now, right? Because everybody consumes content now. Yeah. Everybody does. It doesn't matter the age. Everybody's into it. So I'm starting to get a better idea on embracing the content creator in myself, but it's still weird to me. It's a trippy thing.
If you can go back in time and go back to what you said, 96, 97 Brandoh, and just give him some advice. Like, what would you tell him?
I would tell him, figure out who you want to sell your shirts to. That's the biggest thing that I've struggled with early on, was knowing who I wanted to sell to. Because if I knew who I was going to sell to, then I designed my shirts way different back then, because I was trying to create for the masses. I didn't understand that if I took a smaller little group and designed directly for them, then I could expand from there, right? And I say to my videos that it's easier to take over like your city than take over the whole world, right? If I could take over my city, then I could eventually grow from that. But when you set out to take over the whole world, you're all over the place. You're trying to sell and you're trying to cater to too many people. So if I knew who I was going to sell to back then, I'd probably be a lot more successful in just building brand. Yeah. And the other thing is I would hate for myself back then to limit myself to what I was doing because of fear of what somebody else thought. When I told people I made shirts, everybody thought it was like the weirdest thing, especially early 2000s, late 90s. People thought it was the dumbest thing, kind of nerdy to own a business at that time. And it wasn't as popular as it is now. And everybody kind of sets you up for failure and says, oh, that's not going to work out. Yeah. And I listened to a lot of those people back then, you know what I mean? Because I valued their opinion. But if I could go back and tell that person, you know, screw you, like I'm just going to do my own thing, and I embraced it early, then I probably would have seen a lot more success early on.
It's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well, one more time, where can everybody find you? If people want to come check out your channel, they want to check out your clothing lines, like, why don't you give us a plug?
Yeah, for me, I don't even need to plug no clothing lines or nothing like that. If you want to learn how to create stuff from home, Big Brandoh on YouTube. Instagram is Big Brandoh TV. You'll find basically the information that is kind of raw and uncut, but also valuable information in each video. Every piece of content that I put out, I'm hoping that there's a little nugget in there that somebody could take away. Even if it's very repetitive and the videos sound repetitive, I hope that there's something in there that somebody could take away from and learn from, build from, and make some money, man. Heck yeah. That's it.
Awesome. Well, dude, honestly, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah.
Come sit down and talk with us, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Awesome.